Come on in, sit back and relax. You're listening to episode 235 of the WealthTech Today podcast. And I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this podcast features interviews, news, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. And my guest on this episode was Pershing's Chief Product Officer, Sareena Dalla Brookshire. Now, Sareena has been at Pershing for a year. Happy anniversary, Sareena, 1 year at Pershing. Before that, she was at Vanguard, where she was head of strategy and planning. She was there for 6 years. And before that, she was at BlackRock, where she was VP of Digital. Now, we spoke about a lot of interesting topics. Pershing's product strategy, of course, how could we forget that when we're talking to the Chief Product Officer, and their focus on 4 pillars, which I'll let Sareena explain to you. We talked about new categories of software providers that Pershing is working with. We talked about integrated technologies, which is one of our favorite topics here on the podcast, and Pershing's roadmap for the next 12 months, which should be very interesting to all of Pershing's clients and partners. But before we get started, and here we are with our next guest. It is Chief Product Officer from Pershing, Sareena Dalla Brookshire. Hey, Sareena, thanks for being here.
Hi, good to be here.
I'm glad we could get onto your calendar. You are a busy person.
It's been a crazy couple of months, but all good.
The first quarter is almost over. It seems like it really shouldn't be. It's time just flying by.
Yes.
Sareena, where are you calling in from?
I am in Jersey City today.
And we're both in New Jersey. I'm in beautiful Sayreville, just probably an hour south of you. It's a nice, cold, clear day here in March in New Jersey.
Yes, it doesn't quite feel like spring yet. I'm hoping.
They tell us it's 2 days away, but I'm not really sure. That may be a false hope. Before we begin, again, thank you for being here. Can you provide a 30-second elevator pitch in case anybody is living under a rock and doesn't know who Pershing is?
Sure. Yeah, we are a large broker-dealer custody provider. We do custody, clearing, settlement. We are part of BNY Mellon, and we have a history, I think that's several decades old at this point.
Easily.
Easily.
Yeah. And BNY Mellon, I believe, acquired Pershing from DLJ back in
Yes.
2002.
Yes, correct.
Approximately. Yes. Yeah. That was a big move back then. That was people didn't know what was going on with that. They were concerned. But you've been in the industry quite some time, and you're approaching, if I'm not mistaken, your 1-year anniversary at Pershing.
Yeah, I joined a little before our Insight conference, so just about a year in June. So yeah, it's flown by.
I was at the conference. It was great. I love the Insight conferences. It's flown by. So just before we jump into the things we're going to talk about, what's the biggest difference you find? Because you were at Vanguard for 6 years and BlackRock for 3 years before that. So what's the difference you found at Pershing?
Yeah, I can really share why I was drawn to the opportunity to come here as well. I had been in asset management really for the past decade, and I just was really intrigued by kind of all that BNY Mellon and Pershing had to offer, well beyond asset management. So the opportunity to kind of work across the organization, custody, clearing, advisory, the bank. There just was a lot of excitement around sort of the leadership that was also coming in. And so I'd say some of the biggest difference are one, it's really great to be kind of back in New York again, the Jersey City area. But two, it's really nice to kind of have the exposure to multiple lines of business within financial services. That's probably been one of the biggest differences for me.
There is a lot to look at, a lot to talk about at Pershing. It's a huge organization. I know we've worked with Pershing in strategy consulting for many years, and it's not an easy organization to grasp everything that's going on there.
Yeah, we there's no shortage of things that we're doing here. It's an exciting time to be here, actually. Really exciting time.
And that's all we can ask for, is to live in exciting times. All right, so we're going to talk about trends. This is a trends podcast with you, Sareena, and you had a couple of interesting trends you wanted to talk about. The first one was new categories of providers. Can you talk about who those are, and how you broke them out, and why, and what we should know about them?
Yeah. So, I mean, as we think about kind of new categories of providers, if you look across the spectrum, there's classically been really kind of two models. One is where you have a firm that's really looking to outsource, right? So, fully outsource platform responsibilities, typically a single provider. And the benefit of that, right, is that you get some efficiencies there. It really frees up investment capacity, investment capital. You don't really have to kind of tend to it in the way that you would otherwise if you were sort of building from scratch. The flip side of that, though, is that you really don't get as much differentiation when you think about your stack relative to other wealth firms. And so, you can lose some of the control, you can lose some of the branding, but what you do get is the benefit of really sort of that outsourced, delegated model, right? And then on the other spectrum, right, we have assembly model, or I think you called it the open source model, right? Where you're really allowed to kind of build and select the best of breed providers for you, right? From a technology and an investment product standpoint. You typically have multiple providers, right? And so you're starting to see this with a lot of the bigger shops, right? Where they're investing in digital product teams and tech teams directly. So the benefit, right, is that you actually get to choose the best of breed, right? You get to choose the best CRM provider, the best portfolio construction provider, the best financial planning provider, right? So on and so forth. And that really does allow you to kind of create a differentiated tech stack. However, the downside is there's a lot of maintenance around that. And so we've definitely seen that as firms have started to adopt this model, right, there's sort of a reoccurring tax that comes with this selection, as you have to constantly upgrade and maintain to ensure that all of these integrations sort of make sense. And so what we're excited about is we really see an emerging solution, which we're really calling the amplification model, which in my mind is really the best of both worlds from outsourcing and assembly. And that's really where you have a firm that can give you a configurable platform for your technology, configurable enough so you get the benefit of the outsourced piece, as well as curated investment products. So that you have some of the benefits of the assembly piece. And really, as I think about sort of how we're evolving our product strategy here and our model here, what we're doing, I think really lends itself nicely in that space. And I maybe just to touch on some of the benefits here, right? I think, I touched on some of the flip side of the prior two models. With the Amplify model, right? You really get this control over your brand, right? You get to have some more turnkey technology implementation along with, some selected choice, as well as a curated set of investment products, which you have the ability to sort of white label and create model solutions around. So you really kind of get the best of both as we see this emerging category expand.
Yeah, these are new terms. So these, but they're old terms. They're new terms for old ways of looking at things. So yeah, we would refer to assembly as open architecture, where you can pick any investment manager you like, or any technology. And the best of both worlds, or best of breed, we also call that. Amplification model, that's an interesting term. Are there specific areas of brand? You mentioned brand amplification. Are there specific aspects of what Pershing is doing to help advisors amplify their brand?
Yeah, well, I would say from a brand standpoint on the custody side, right? We've actually seen sort of two spectrums of this. So we have smaller, or middle RIA firms that really appreciate having the Pershing brand, right? Sort of gives a level of credibility and establishment, institutional quality to it. And so we offer that as an option. But then we also have clients that really want to have us be, the wind beneath their wings, right? And really sort of have their brand more front and center. And so we allow for that flexibility too. And so what we want to offer is essentially that choice, so that as where you are in the maturity of your firm, or where you are in the maturity of your brand, there's sort of the optionality to leverage our brand where it helps, and then also promote your brand where it also amplifies kind of what you're trying to do in the marketplace.
Where does the new Wove platform fit into this new category of providers? Outsourced, or assembly, or amplification?
I would say that we're a collective amplification model, right? As we think about this opportunity, right, to sort of leverage our advisory platform while at the same time leverage the best-in-class kind of provider that we have with BNY Mellon Advisors, right, which is our investment products. So I think there's, the beauty is there are homegrown solutions on the Wove platform, while there's also an opportunity to bring in your best in breed. So it's a nice blend, actually, but I would say it sits within amplification.
I thought it was a good move in terms of branding to rebrand Dreyfus as BNY Mellon Advisors, uh, and the old TAMP
Yep,
products, right?
Lockwood, yeah,
As
yeah,
BNY Mellon
yes.
Advisors, and that makes a lot of sense.
It does. Yeah, we're really excited. There's great leadership with Stephanie Pierce and others on her team. And so that partnership is one that we're really, excited about and actively working through as we bring those models onto the platform.
So is this going to be, when you talk about models in the platform, it's not going to be like a TAMP delivery. It's going to be more of a model marketplace.
Correct. Exactly. A model marketplace. That's right.
Right. But you offer outsourced middle office services currently through the managed investments. Will that still be working in partnership with Wove, or will there be some other arrangement?
Outsourced managed investments.
Like outsourced middle office, like if I'm a broker dealer, I can outsource all my trading, rebalancing, recon, reporting to you. I'm always curious about how things are changing, because things have to change, and you guys are doing a good job of changing, right?
Yeah.
Of bringing in new technology, bringing in new ideas, and that always upsets the apple cart. So not everyone enjoys change. So seeing that those differences and how you're taking the existing applications and the existing parts of the business and combining them in different ways, I think is really the way to go. So we've got new categories of providers. Another trend we want to talk about was one of my favorite trends, which is connected and integrated technology.
Yes. So from a product strategy standpoint, we have our custody platform, NetX 360 Plus, and then we also have our advisory platform, as we just discussed, Wove. And so as we thought about kind of the pillars there, we're really looking at four things. So one, just, modern tech. Two, interoperability. Three, flexibility. And then four, really kind of what we call intuitive UX, which is, consumer grade level design, right? And so as we think about kind of the benefit of that, it really comes down to the fact that, like, we want to build the best platform that allows for connected and integrated technology. Like, we see that on many levels, at all from the advisors to the investors to the sort of business impact, that interoperability and connected tech is really sort of a game changer when it comes down to productivity and scale for these advisors. So, just a couple stats here to share. 57% of advisors want interoperability. 84% of investors value simplicity and integration over more features. And then from a business aspect, this was really surprising. 37% of firms see more revenue per employee if they invest in a good tech experience. Some of the data we saw was that this can free up nearly 2 hours of an employee's day, which is 100 more hours with this connected tech. And then the other piece is that we see more and more investor demand, right? As we sort of have our investors raising the bar on experience, they want things to work. They want more self-sufficient, self-serve tools. And so that's, 65% of affluent investors actually say they would leave their advisor if a tech integrated experience is not really provided for them. So we think this is a huge space for us as we think about integrating our platform across custody and advisory, and really making it simple for advisors to serve more clients.
All right, let me drill down into that a bit. Now, when you talk about integrating custody and advisory, are you saying that NetX 360, which is the custody platform, is going to be integrated into Wove, the advisory platform?
I think what we're saying is that we want to be able to have, over time, a common platform that allows clients to access the custody solution as well as the advisory solution based on who they are, whether they're multi-custodial, what service or product they need from us. It should not feel like a bifurcated experience. It should be something that, should you need to start in custody and traverse into advisory, it is seamless, it is elegant, the data carries through, the forms carry through. We don't want to have another sort of disconnected experience based on what you need to do to perform your job, based on the persona, based on the role within the firm.
So if I can summarize, yes, you want to merge those two, right? You want one experience. So that means there will be
Want to create a seamless experience? Yes.
at some point there won't be a separate NetX and Wove because I've got a test switch. I've got to go from here and I got to now go to there, right? So you want it to be one, which makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, that's how NetX 360 came about, right? Many years ago, we had NetX Investor and NetX Advisor, and he merged them together to NetX 360, right? So why not merge these two as well? Just keep one platform for everything. That seems to be a good strategy in my book. But now I want to tweak you a little bit. So this is a hard question, Sareena. So Pershing being a successful company, right? You are the third largest provider of custody services in the country, very closely behind the two larger competitors, Fidelity and Schwab. And you built out these great capabilities, and you're also the largest provider of custody to broker dealers in the country. And you've done that because you've had good technology, great service, great reputation. Now, this lends itself into what we all know as the innovator's dilemma. Because you are a successful company, because you've been doing it for a long time, by definition, your technology becomes legacy. That's just the anchor that any successful company is going to have. So what are some of the things you're doing? You mentioned one of the things, you mentioned four pillars, and the first one was modern technology. So how it's very difficult to upgrade custody technology. It's big iron, they call it, right? So what are we doing at Pershing to get to a modern technology stack?
So you're absolutely right, right? Success is a benefit, but it's also, it forces us to sort of rethink, right, where we want to be in 3 years, 5 years, to kind of continue to build share and loyalty with our clients over time. And so we do know that service is a differentiator. We know that our technology is a differentiator. And so as we think about modernization, we're doing a couple of different things. So one, we're really looking at, what does a modern tech stack mean, right? And so as we think about moving off the mainframe into the cloud, that's one big body of work. We're investing deeply in our data layer. We're building out more services and APIs, and we're really investing also in just sort of the experience layer as well, so that there are just more opportunities to kind of streamline, right? One of the things we talk about on the custody side is over time, right? You've built for a power user, you've built for a lot of complexity, and there are opportunities actually just to kind of strip out and streamline some of the core journeys and experiences within the portal experience, but within the broader custody experience as well. So, spending a lot of time thinking about our new client account opening, spending a lot of time sort of reworking our asset movement and re-engineering there, making sure that what we do is faster, better, and just more elegant for our clients as we start to bring new clients on and serve existing clients. But really, it comes down to modernizing the infrastructure and doing it in a way that is strategic and deliberate. It's not going to be something that can be done with a silver bullet overnight. And so as we've really leaned heavily on research, that's helped us sort of pinpoint the focus areas to start first, where we have the most bang for our buck and where we know is most important to our client base. So some of the areas I just mentioned already.
That is excellent. Yeah, you definitely want to put in the dollars into the areas where you get the most bang for your buck. And those are all areas we recommend our clients look at: data layers, APIs. When you mentioned experience layer, what is that exactly?
Experience layer is essentially the front end, right? So the interface in which our clients are, either signing up for new accounts, making transactions on the platform, receiving alerts and notifications, all of those things that should be really kind of elegant and seamless, and to the point around interoperable, right? Work wherever you start and wherever you sort of migrate across the different layers of our platform.
When you mentioned data layer and APIs, that also supports interoperability. Are there any specific areas that those are supporting that you're focusing on?
Well, I think one of the things that we're sort of looking at, speak more high level about this, is really sort of building out this broader interoperability platform team,
Mhm.
right? Which would sort of touch on a lot of the back end components around entitlements, data. We use a number of different sort of data cloud providers at this point, and continue to sort of expand on that with our footprint there. Um, we're looking also just kind of from a data standpoint on like better sort of analytics in general. Um, but those are some of the things. And then from a services standpoint, like we're really looking at kind of the whole custody suite, where they're the biggest opportunities to sort of look at sort of internal as well as external consumers, and then identify patterns, right, where to invest kind of the service experience more so. Um, I don't know if that answers your question around
Oh, yeah.
the piece.
Exactly. I mean, you also touched on another area. So we do a lot at the Ezra Group. We do a lot of work in data warehousing and building out data layers, data lakes for large enterprise RIAs and broker dealers. And one of the reasons a lot of our clients work with us is because they want better analytics, as you mentioned. Which areas, can you talk about which areas of analytics Pershing is focusing on? You guys have a lot of unique data.
We do. So there's a couple different sort of data layers. So one, clearly just like the platform piece, right? We want to make sure that as we are building out the front end experience, right, there's sort of clear um, articulation and measurement, right, of the funnel, of the journey, fallout, where there's friction within the experience, right? We want to make it really, really fast and simple and easy. So that's sort of at the front end layer. And then I think on the sort of deeper mid-tier and beyond, it's really around kind of performance, resiliency. We're also looking at different ways to sort of explore kind of the custody transaction data, the advisory data, and figuring out really how we can provide deeper insights to different client segments, right, that want to understand how they can better either use our platform or distribute product on the platform, or just get more optimization based on their experience within it itself. So everyone from kind of RIAs to investor to asset managers are some of the clients we think about.
I gotcha. Now you are head of product, chief product officer. So you have some very, very good information about what's coming, about the product strategy and focus areas for Pershing. What can you share with us around what you're thinking of product strategy? How is it different from the Pershing we used to know? Like what are we going to see now in the future in terms of product strategy and the focus areas that you're going to be investing in?
Yeah, so I mean I touched on the pillars, right? So, modernization is a huge focus area as I mentioned, right? So that's, not always the most glamorous stuff, but it's the much needed work, right? To sort of avoid that uh innovator's dilemma that you mentioned earlier, right? So we really need to make sure that we're investing there to make sure so that we can future proof ourselves, right, for the long run. So a lot of investment there. On the flexibility piece, we're looking for lots of opportunities within the experience itself, specifically on the custody side, to leverage, emerging tech, generative AI to help with things like search, to help with more personalization within the experience, to help with deeper and better reporting and analytics. We know that that's a huge use case on the site itself. And we want to make sure that there's flexibility to just the offer, right? So people kind of know what Pershing does and how to work with us. And then on the intuitive side, right, like this is really around how do we ensure that the experience layer is really, really easy and simple to use? And so I talked about kind of focus areas around asset movement and new account opening. There's a couple other areas that we're looking at within the portal experience itself. So a major upgrade to our investor site portal, NetX Investor, really kind of upgrading the platform, investing in collaboration tools, investing in self-serve tools for investors. We really want to kind of create that graduation path as you come in as a self-directed investor through to robo, through to advised over time. And so really kind of investing on the investor side, which is really driving a lot of the heightened expectations, right, for advisors as well.
So I'm going to ignore everything you just said, but go back to, because I want to jump back to something you mentioned we didn't talk about. I'll throw you a little curveball. You mentioned generative AI.
Uh-huh.
And what I'm interested about there is I saw a demo at, speaking of Pershing Insights, a couple of years ago at Pershing Insight, there was a demo of generative AI, or not generative AI, but more of a chatbot AI. But
Yep.
you could talk to the chatbot and say something like, my client lost their debit card. What do I do? And it would give you the instructions. It would pull up the account number. It would fill out the form. It would bring you the right form on the screen and get it all set for you. So it basically became an intelligent customer support person that
Yeah.
knew everything about everything in Pershing. But that was only proof of concept then. Is that something that's going to be coming live soon?
Um, I don't want to spoil too much, but what I'll say is that we are super excited about what generative AI can do on the platform. And so, we are looking, so, I'll share some tidbits from our client custody research, right? Like we think there's a huge opportunity to help make our clients more productive and more efficient. And so if everything from kind of what you would see in classic kind of co-pilot type stuff, we're exploring just what makes sense for the site. So that includes things like, Q&A agents, things of that nature to better help you identify the data within the site, advanced search, things like that. But the whole point is to really make it a simple way for you to unearth what you need within our experience, and also just maximize the productivity and value you get from it. So we hope to be able to share more at Insight and beyond, but this is a space that is hot for us, and we are investing some good energy here.
We are all Pershing customers. I mean, we have a lot of Pershing customers among our client base at Ezra Group. So that's exactly what we want to hear. We want to hear about good energy coming from our custodian.
Good
I like
vibes.
that. For anyone here who doesn't know, where can they find more information about Pershing?
Yeah, so we have a very active presence on LinkedIn. So feel free to like or follow us there. And then obviously Pershing.com are two great places to start.
Fantastic. Sareena, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I know it was tough to get you here with all your busy schedule, but thanks again. You really did a great job.
Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, it's Greg again. And here are my takeaways from this episode. Pershing's product strategy focuses on 4 pillars: modern technology, interoperability, flexibility, and an intuitive user experience. There are some emerging provider categories that Pershing is working with, but they categorize them in a couple different ways. One is assembly open architecture, and one is amplification, which is the best of, and then outsource. So outsourced, assembly open architecture, and then amplification, which is the best of both worlds. And Sareena considers Pershing in the amplification category. Talked about connected integrated technologies and their roadmap. We learned there's some new things coming down the pipe, continued improvements to the advisory platform Wove, an evolving banking solution, and expanded offerings for high net worth and ultra high net worth clients. All right, you've reached the end of the episode of the WealthTech Today podcast. Thanks for listening. Please go to our website, EzraGroup.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage, and sign up for our newsletter. You'll receive an email just once a month, chock full of wealth management goodness, news, information, updates. You won't be disappointed. Thanks for listening, and talk to you all again next time. All right, that's it. You've reached the end of another episode of the WealthTech Today podcast. Please go to our website, EzraGroup.com. Scroll to the bottom of the homepage. Smash that button to subscribe to our newsletter. Once a month, you'll receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, updates, information. You won't be disappointed. So thanks for listening, and talk to you all again next time.